So FanFare. I thought, what better way to break down the wait, let's start over. Both of our
Take your
teams
time.
both of our teams sucked. So I think let's take a look back on two shitty seasons. Well, one was shitty, one was I'm a Giants fan, Anthony's a Vikings fan. So I mean, do you want to start? I could start. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm gonna post a graphic. I'm present a graphic that you can see right now. But I just want who do you want to start with?
The Giants or the Vikings? I think let's start with the Giants because they did worse.
All right, all right. So I'm gonna present in our Zoom meeting this beautiful graphic. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like it? I think it's good.
That's a solid job.
It's a pretty good job.
I like the dirty pair of shoes
Yeah,
next to
I
your
couldn't
picture.
really. I could have cropped those out, but I thought why not? It adds character. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean it'll be different, but the graphic will be up. So you can see the Giants are 4-13. They're last in the NFC East. It was a really bad year. My takeaway is that the last after Daniel Jones got hurt, the Giants were clearly the worst team in the NFL, and it was not close. Like they were just not competitive. I don't know what
Did they
your
win a
thoughts.
single game?
We
They did.
lost. Um,
After they lost Daniel Jones, didn't they win one game?
I don't think so.
Really?
I
Oh, you only
know
have 4 wins.
we only have
That's right.
4 wins. We beat
Dang.
our last win was we beat the Eagles.
I remember the Giants being better than 4 wins.
No, well, because here's the thing. You remember when I actually cared about the Giants, and we were like
Right.
at 4 wins, almost a playoff team. That's how bad the NFC was. Like when
Right.
we beat the Eagles, we were one game out of the last wild card spot. Um, but then Daniel Jones get hurt, and Mike Glennon, who might be the worst quarterback ever, played 6 games for us. And I mean, it was just awful. I,
I like that you included Mike Lennon played six
the
games
fact
because
that he played
that really helps.
is bad. But that's an indictment. It's the second bullet point. It's an indictment on the Giants. First of all, that they didn't have a better backup quarterback. It really was like my dad was like they didn't prepare to have a better backup, and I was like, I legitimately think their plan was if Daniel Jones got hurt, they were tanking. But Jesus Christ, it was bad. It's one of the worst Giant seasons in recent memory. Saquon did nothing. I can't even blame him. The O line was the worst in the league. I mean, you look at other teams. The Jaguars beat the Colts. Giants couldn't beat the Colts. Jaguars were better than us down the stretch. The Lions were awesome down the stretch. The Lions played
Yeah.
competitive football. The Jets are like looking up. They're like you can take away at the end of this Jets season. I think we finished with the same record as the Jets.
No, I would say
Completely
the
different vibe.
Texans. I would say the Texans are worse.
No, dude, no, dude. The Texans
Really?
almost beat the Titans.
Didn't
It was
they?
a close game.
Oh, I do
In the last.
remember that.
The Texans
That's right.
battled down the stretch. The Texans beat the Chargers. That's the reason the Chargers.
However, oh,
The
you know
reason the
why the
Chargers.
Texans are good?
Oh yeah,
Deshaun Watson.
fuck. Um, which by the way, you want to talk about fired
One
coach?
hell of a guy, by the way.
Great guy. A perfect human in every way. A model citizen. Uh,
A
no,
law-abiding citizen.
yes, sir. No, the Texans were good. They fired their head coach. So did the
They were
Dolphins.
not good. They were not good. Don't say
They
good.
weren't. They weren't good. They were
They were bad. They
significantly
were
better.
bad.
All I'll say is this: they played well. They played hard football down the stretch because the reason that the Chargers were even in the spot to miss the playoffs if they lost to the Raiders is because they lost to the Texans. So
Okay, that's interesting.
the Texans, I would encourage you that to look at kind of. I think they went 2-2 in their last 4 games. I think David Mills had a decent stretch. I would just encourage you to look at some of the box scores of the Texans and just they finished third. I mean, it does not impress that they finished third in the AFC South because the other team is the Jaguars, but lost the Titans by 3, beat the Chargers 41-29, beat the Jaguars 30-16. So, there's obviously some bad stretches, but their last few games clearly better
I
than
just remember like the first like 7, 8 weeks, I would go
they're
through
awful.
the NFL power ranking each week, and the Texans were always the worst team in football. Like it wasn't even like
It
they're
was them and
bad. It
it was
was like
them and
the
the line.
worst team in football, like without a doubt.
But I mean, I would say this, like you see the way the Texans and the Lions play hard. You did not see that from the Giants. The Giants fucking gave up, and it was hard.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right.
have you seen the videos of from our own five running QB sneaks on second and third down?
No.
So it's second and 10 and then third and 9. Our offense got in like the wishbone formation and ran back to back QB sneaks. It was really fun.
Wait, he did what now?
Yep. Yeah, it's bad. Really bad.
No.
Awful.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna switch from this to because the one good news I think is that our head coach is gone. We fired Joe Judge. And I want to show you
We
this.
also fired our head coach and our GM.
And there's a parallel between the Vikings and the Giants in that sense. This is the wrong. That's just simply the same
I
graphic.
just see a black screen right now, by the way.
Do you really?
Yes.
Did you initially see a
No, I
good?
saw the fanfare.
You did. All right, hold on. Let me I because I do want you to see this Joe Judge thing. All right, so let's hopefully that works. Share screen. Do you see that?
I do, yeah.
You do. All right. So Joe Judge in 2 seasons goes 10 and 23. He does this. I mean, he at the end, he just goes on like these 11-minute rants in press conferences. Um, brags about former players that left in free agency and made more money, calling him begging to come back, wishing they were back with the Giants, which is simply not true because only one free agent left and it was Colt McCoy. And he's on like a
Okay.
playoff team. And also, like, why would you want to come play for the worst team in football?
Right.
Was bragging about no golf clubs in the locker room. In the midst of all this, had the audacity not only to like call out the previous organization, like the previous coaching.
Oh, by the way, my mom is yelling downstairs. Can you hear that?
I can't. You're all right. You're good.
All right, that's good.
I would always.
She's making
I
a
mean,
lot of
listen. She wants to
noise.
come on the pod. We're always
No,
welcome with Sharon.
absolutely not.
All right. In the midst of all of this ranting, he somehow finds a way to call out the Washington football team because they had a fight in the sideline. He doesn't explicitly say Washington, but he says, we're not having fights in the sidelines like some other clown show organizations, which is a beautiful statement to pretend like we're not the clown show.
Huh.
But
4-13 and you're not a clown show?
yeah. The
Come
my
on.
favorite stat is the last 6 games. Giants went 0-6, averaged 9.3 points. An average that is significantly boosted by a game that we got 2 garbage time touchdowns against the Chargers. We were outscored 163-56.
Oh, that's tough.
This is from a guy that said his team will never quit. We're
Wait,
gonna
hold
play
on. Do
hard.
I see
We're
that
gonna play
right?
hard. We're gonna play hard to the end.
Do I see that right? The source
The sources trust me, bro.
there.
Well, on the
What
former players begging to come back. But yeah, because people were like
did he
trying
say
to.
that? Did he say that?
No, he didn't. But I
That would be
mean,
funny if
it
he
would be
did.
funny if he was like, "Trust me, bro." But no, because people did it. They're like, first of all, there weren't any players because he explicitly said players that left in free agency and are making more money elsewhere that want to come back. So under all of those restrictions,
I
the
doubt that.
only player that fits the bill is literally Colt McCoy. And there's no
Why
reason.
would he want to come back? Yeah.
The only reason he would want to come back if he's like Daniel Jones is hurt, I could start there over Mike Glennon. But yeah. Uh yeah, the Giants are a mess. And I mean, I'm gonna kind of get out of the way and just let you talk about the Vikings because I think they're an actual
All right.
interesting team. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on the Giants before I stop, but listen, the
I haven't
Giants are
really paid
bad.
attention since we were watching the games together.
Listen, the one thing I'll say is we're hiring a new GM, hiring a new head coach. If we get someone like Brian Flores, I maybe there's hope. I still believe in Daniel Jones. That's not a popular opinion at this point. I think he's
I
good.
do. I do.
I think he's good. But really bad season for the New York Giants. On to a team that also missed the playoffs, but was significantly better. Minnesota Vikings.
All right, here we go. So
Oh,
eight
and
and
I can
nine.
I can bring up. I had some bullet
Yeah.
points for you if you wanted to use
I
them.
mean, I know what's going on. 8 and 9, clearly not bad, but not good either. By no means good.
Mhm.
Um, so our season was weird because we beat the fucking Packers.
Yeah,
Then we lost to the Lions.
dude, that was actually one of my bullet points. I think for the Vikings is I'm not going to present my screen, but I'm going to try and find it. But I think one of my points is you beat the Chargers and the Packers, but you lost to the Lions.
Yeah, I think
Bizarre.
that just goes pretty much. Our season was just weird. We lost. We beat teams that we shouldn't have beaten. We lost to teams that we shouldn't have lost to. It's just the whole season is just like kind of whatever mood our teams wants to play and they play.
You're just in a silly,
Like
goofy mood.
they show up and like, I'm in a funny mood. Let's lose. You know what? Let's lose to a team
Well,
that hasn't won a game yet.
and when you beat them by two.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there's that. Well, we're getting rid of our head coach and GM as well. I will say that I'm really glad that's happening.
See, the thing about
Um,
you guys is I feel like you're in a spot where you get the right people running the team. And I don't even think Mike Zimmer was necessarily a bad head coach. I just think it was time for a change.
no, listen, the whole thing about Mike Zimmer is he's the defensive mastermind, right? Where was our defense this season?
That sucked. I think
Maybe the worst defense in the league. Maybe.
that might be a stretch, but you weren't good.
So I think it's time for a change. I heard the assistant coach for the Patriots, what is his name?
Josh.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
I heard he would be willing to accept a head coach or a GM position.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that we could pick him up, and I'm counting on that. Like that's where I'm going right now. That's where my mind's at. If we can do that, I think years under Bill Belichick, not working for anyone else, just they could put him in the right position, make some money moves.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that you guys are in a spot where you have a good. So I don't know if you were planning on talking about this, but like Kirk Cousins was good this year.
Yeah.
I think, and then I think it's just interesting, right? Like he chose not to get vaccinated, and that kind of fucked you guys because in meaningful games, I think in the game, right when you played the Packers with your backup quarterback that second
No.
time around. No,
The
there,
second time, no.
the game where you got eliminated was Kirk playing in that game. I don't think he was.
No, he wasn't.
Right. So that I think that's the right. Like it's kind of tough that he had a good
Yeah.
year, but you want your starting quarterback to be in the games when you need him to, and you
When
need
he's healthy,
or just like
he's not injured.
but just like
Not injured. He has no reason to be
massive
out.
in massive games where your season depends on it. Like you need your starting quarterback available.
Right.
And Dalvin Cook, who Visnu refers to as the worst of running back,
That one guy who's bad.
the one guy who's
That
bad,
one guy who's bad.
who actually did not have a great year this year, but I
No,
think
he didn't.
still a lot of talent. And even if he doesn't work out, Alexander Madison for some reason is awesome.
Listen, I will say this.
And the
Alexander
receiving core,
Madison as
Justin
a
Jefferson.
backup, as when he plays, when Dalvin Cook plays, he doesn't do that well. But when he plays when Dalvin Cook is out, he does amazing.
Hot take that Alexander Madison, when Dalvin Cook is hurt, is a top 10 running back in football.
No,
only when Dalvin Cook is hurt. Top 10 running back.
no, only when Dalvin Cook's hurt.
Yeah.
He performs significantly better when he's hurt. But I agree. I agree.
But
So
I
I'm
like
gonna
your
go out on a
receiving
limb and
core.
say Dalvin Cook would be awesome to have, but if it doesn't work out, there is the chance that Alexander Madison could play, and he'll probably be better because Dalvin Cook isn't there.
No, here's the thing. I think that if Dalvin Cook left and you made Madison your starting running back, I think he'd suck. I think he'd have a terrible season.
You think so?
I think it's the Nick Foles. I think it's the same thing as the Nick Foles thing, where Nick Foles is awesome when he comes in as a backup, but
Oh,
every
you're
time
right.
he's been signed to be the starting quarterback, it doesn't work out. And I mean, listen, there are people
There
that
is that added of yes, this is the time I get to start. Let me play my heart out. You're right. If he starts every game, it's not as much there.
I think it's the same thing as the Nick Foles thing, where it's when if he was the starting running back, he wouldn't be. He would just be a huge bust. I
I
genuinely believe that.
That's a good point.
I like your receiving core between Justin Jefferson. If he's not a top 5 wide receiver, is a lock to be one. I think you could say
Yeah,
he's top 5, right?
I think so.
Pretty damn good. I
Adam
love
Thielen,
I love KJ Osborne. I think he
KJ.
was a really good.
We have some underrated guys on our wide receiving core, I'd
Yeah,
say.
Osborne's awesome. You
Dude,
just
it's just weird because like ever since Justin Jefferson's been popping off, Adam Thielen has kind of been taken out of the picture. And like
I
people kind
honestly,
of forget how good he
do
is.
you know how long you have him signed for?
I don't know.
Because I would kind of be interested. I don't think Osborne's ready to be the wide receiver too, but I
He
definitely
could
want
be, yeah,
I want him as your 3 going into next year for sure.
for sure.
Um, I think that's a really good receiving between Jefferson, Thielen, and fucking Osborne. That's awesome. I mean, what else is there to talk? Do you want to talk any more about the Vikings? This is
I
us.
will.
This is your last chance because we're not talking Vikings ever again. They're not relevant.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I
So
will say, I think it'll be a good change of pace to get rid of the coaching staff and the GM.
I like that.
And I'll leave it at that. I don't. I'm not gonna say I hope it's gonna go well because it's the Vikings, so we never know. But I'll just say a change of pace could be nice.
Listen, I pegged them as my fuck around and find out team. In my mind, I thought that they were gonna fuck around and find out how good they were. Unfortunately, they spent too much time fucking around and they found out. So they fucked around and found out. It's really unfortunate because I think it's so
Well,
beautiful. I think it's so beautiful how fuck around and find out has so many different meanings. And so
you're right.
I had them as a good fuck
Damn,
around.
you're right.
I had them as a great fuck around and find out. I thought they were going to come into the playoffs and absolutely wreck some shit, but they found out.
Oh well, it is what it is.
They found out.
What you gonna do about it now?